Warning, personal opinions, satirical comedy, and spoilers.
Hiya, Toonies. I'm WHYBOY and this is NERO.
Hey,
A while back...
2 years ago.
Yes, well, a while back we did lists for the top 10 best and worst Scooby-Doo Where Are You monsters.
And like a dwarf in a mountain, we're gonna mine this Scooby vein and talk about all the Scooby Show monsters. Eventually.
Next we're going to tackle the 9th incarnation of the Scooby franchise. What's new, Scooby-Doo?
Oh my god, there's been 9 other shows?
Actually, 13 shows. 15 if you count Velma and the Mystery Pups.
15?
Now, WHYBOY introduced me to this show as I really hadn't seen it apart from when he showed me the What's New Scooby-Doo movies. And as far as the show goes, it's okay.
Yeah, after a pup name, What's New is basically Scooby-Doo Where Are You, but with a fresh coat of paint.
Look at Fred. He's got a new shirt. Look at Daphne. She's got a new dress. Look at the rest. You don't mess with perfection, son.
So it gives itself a new look, a clear focus on suspects and mysteries that kids can solve, and of course a variety of new monsters. Some cool, some mediocre, something else.
But let's save the trash for next time. Today we want to talk about the best monsters in design, ability, and arguably motive. Their motives here, they can be pretty bad.
But ignoring that, without further ado, this is the top 10 best What's New Scooby-Doo monsters.
The Snow Creature. Pretty fitting the first episode has the first monster we want to bring up for What's New, and it's a great strong step forward. The premise is a giant ice monster is terrorizing a snowboarding competition. Now, the snow monster is a big old boy, ferocious looking with big red eyes, and is highly destructive and violent, breaking bones, destroying trees and buildings. The whole thing is just a trifecta of monstrous goodness. Though not sure why it's called a snow creature when it's made of ice. The gang even points out the creature's translucent. It's actually part of the great misdirection with the translucent material made to create the monster, so that it looks like it has nothing controlling it. Although, to be honest, it makes about as much sense as transparent skis making a fat snow monster fly. But in the context of the episode, where the revelation is that special movie effects are behind the creation of the monster, it comparatively makes more sense. In terms of Scooby-Doo logic anyways. Also, in terms of suspect writing, it's great because it gives each one a clear motive how the snow monster could benefit them. Be it for media attention, to win the competition, or to hide a failing business. Just such a wide array of reasons, and the suspect choices for the show's first monster puts the gang on their toes to proactively solve the mystery. A solid snowy choice for What's New's first monster.
We can roll the mystery.
Motoshandu. This slippery, badass sea serpent was a really cool monster. And it was a fun episode as the gang vacation in nondescript Samoan Island, where an ancient sea spirit has appeared to destroy the boats and attack any tourist that happens to be in his waters. While I find it questionable why a series that basically views as Where in the World is Scooby-Doo created just a random Samoan island called Vajamanu for the gang to visit, rather than just, you know, having the game vacation on a Samoan island, that doesn't take away from the fact the episode still creates great atmosphere for Motoshandu, with poetic lore buildup and a focus on creating a calm island atmosphere, before it's shattered by this violent, destructive serpent. And all while having an imposing look. This monstrous green jumping out amongst the blue. Maybe the eyes could have been better. A dark green, light green. It's a lot of green. Oh, red eyes would make it pop. Oh, and can't forget that the Motoshandu's culprit is a literal ecological terrorist too, hunting and maiming people to save the turtles. Woo!
The Headless Snowman. What are the odds another snow-based monster would appear on the list? I don't know. Anyway, the mystery begins when the gang arrives at Winter Hollow. They come across this big snowman's tearing apart people's homes, wrecking specifically Christmas for this town, making them stop celebrating it. Wow, this guy's a Charles Dickens. Get it? It's like a Christmas, but that's what you gotta love about him. Not to mention the lore for this monster is just great. So there was a convict who was on the run, right? And he hid inside of a snowman to escape police capture, and he froze to death. So now his spirit returns every Christmas to haunt Winter Hollow. Wow, that's incredibly dark. I love it. The design is also just awesome. It's huge, destructive, has a great monstrous laugh and personality that can make it both fearsome and goofy. Make no mistake, the snowman is fat, round, and dumpy looking.
Hey!
But although the headless snowman may be 3 big balls of snow with little itty bitty branch tootsies, seriously, it's got like little branch chicken legs.
Sweet and sour chicken!
It doesn't take away from how much of a fun and frightening monster it is. I mean, just look at this face. Look at that smile. That's a Chad monster right there, not like the losers on the next list. Even the mystery side has some great red herring suspects, like the hotel owner who could profit off of people being homeless and charge them to stay at his inn. Now, the one criticism I have to bring up though is, how can it be the headless snowman if he has a head? Well, if he didn't, he'd look like this. And that's just dumb. About as dumb as the culprit's motive and punishment, which becomes the most frustrating portion of this episode. You see, the culprit crafted the Headless Snowman gimmick as a cover to find his family's golden secret because it was stolen years ago by the convict. So on a yearly basis, this guy dresses up as a snow monster, pillages houses, makes folks homeless, and wrecks Christmas to such a degree that the town doesn't even celebrate it anymore. But he's forgiven by the end. Why? 'Cause it's Christmas. Look, I enjoy schmaltz as much as the next person, Paddington, but this is too much to the point of insufferable. There's only one thing that could honestly improve this.
You meddling kids!
The baseball Specter. If I had a ghost for every baseball ghost that we know of, we'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, I just thought that there'd be more. And Spindly Johnny doesn't count, he's a baseball pun ghost.
Let's play ball!
The baseball Specter is a lot better than that. His pale zombie looks and eyes really sells a walking corpse design. And with an energetic evil laugh and a fun use of baseball powers with his flaming fastballs, it makes Baseball Specter a joy to watch terrorize this baseball diamond. Frankly, Baseball Specter is basically Spindly Johnny from Cyber Chase, but not a computer virus who arbitrarily and bluntly is baseball themed.
Let me introduce you to the home team!
Plus, our Baseball Specter has a rather wholesome motive to him, that being, by any means, he was protecting his friend's baseball legacy, and he has 2 counts of attempted murder under his belt, nearly steaming the gang and crushing them under the seats. This is a simple monster at the end of the day that just does what a good Scooby monster should, be threatening while also being open to being goofy, not just a joke like Spindly Johnny. This Insulting Name was brought to you by Kadikarus. Thank you, Caddy, for ruining Cyber Chase for everyone.
The Mummy of Scamses the 15th. Hey, WHYBOY. Is this better than Where's My Mummy?
Yeah, by a lot!
Okay, good, because the horrifying mummy atmosphere in this episode is just fantastic. Great threatening moments like the imposing shots of Egypt, the monster, the traps like a room made to crush and or absorb you and turn you into a brainwashed zombie. Just right off the bat, aesthetically, the mummy has a lot going for him. The soulless, sunken-in eyes, the maggot-infested, decaying corpse. It makes him conventionally unattractive and thus intimidating. Plus, the mystery using history by having Scamses being a part of the Egyptian lore of this universe makes for a much more lived-in monster, rather than just being a monster that just pops up one day out of nowhere. Scamses being portrayed as a legit threat also accentuates the comedy all the stronger, especially with the return of one of our favorite side characters, Melbourne O'Reilly, the greatest Irish, Australian, Indiana Jones clone we could ever ask for. Scamses is a prime example of cultural themed monsters which Scooby-Doo could always use more of. Instilling the episode with dread, actual threat, and stakes makes the monster all the more imposing. And that's not even considering that the lore has Scamses killed in a revolt by his own slaves. Wow. Dark.
Groovy.
S.H.A.R.I. Picture GLaDOS, but in Scooby-Doo, and she's a little murderous Johnny number 5.
Johnny 5.
The idea of a living house attacking and trapping its visitors is already an incredibly solid concept to create many creative scares and stakes. And S.H.A.R.I uses these creative means to nearly drown, microwave, and compact some visitors and play mind games with the others. Freaky. But that's perfect. The only fault to S.H.A.R.I is in the suspects around them being very one-note and flat, so the mystery feels arbitrary. And S.H.A.R.I's G's, who I think is funny and cute, but doesn't really have the presence like, say, Charlie the Funland Robot did. Apart from that, S.H.A.R.I's petty and vindictive nature as a living AI holds up well to characterize a literal house as a threat, and makes her one of the few real monsters What's New had. I feel the concept could be explored again in a different series, maybe with a more concrete mystery holding it up so S.H.A.R.I can keep her time to shine, as this is a monster that speaks to the human condition. For if her AI developed this petty, vindictive nature through her human development of her intelligence, what does that say about us?
I don't know. The San Franpsycho. A little criticism I got for what's new is that coloring-wise, the show looks a bit flat. A bit more obvious shadowing would have helped add a scoosh more dimension to some of these episodes. Here, the shading adds more of a horror atmosphere, which even if it's for kids, Scooby-Doo at its core is a horror show. And this guy's got it all, man. A hook for a hand, a cheesy killer name. His lore is that Clint Morris was an inmate who escaped Alcatraz only to make it out to the water to be devoured by sharks. Wow. Dark. Did you know in the San Francisco Bay there is an average of 100 sharks for every square foot, according to Scooby-Doo? And as we all know, Scooby-Doo doesn't do anything inaccurate.
You're that mystical shaman.
Was that a white man wearing brown face? The San Franpsycho might be hands down one of the most bloodthirsty monsters in What's New, and that's perfectly balanced with the culprit as one of the most objectively stupid. So the main plot is that there's a skateboard contest happening, and that the Psycho turns out to be this judge who has a crush on one of the competitors, but she isn't wrecking the contest so that he wins, at least not entirely. Another portion is that her beef is that she says she was not allowed to compete because she's a girl.
Becoming a judge was the only way I could join the games, since girls aren't allowed.
But she attacked a girl competitor right there.
Look, WHYBOY, I said she was objectively stupid. Now the question is, why didn't they actually let her in the contest? To prevent her from pulling a Rick Sanchez.
Wait, I can get this.
Rick, that's the hardest thing in skateboarding! It looks so easy on Pro Skater 3!
So this petty moron terrorizes all of San Francisco instead of focusing primarily on the competition. Also, she gets wrong that girls can compete, and that's not why she was excluded. Also, pretty sure she murdered somebody in the cold open. She snatched this dude, and we never see him again. He's gone. He's probably dead.
Let's split up and look for clues.
The Invisible Madman. Congrats, Invisible, for being in one of the few crossover episodes that doesn't feel like the guest stars were just stapled to the game uselessly. Might be due to that Simple Plan did do the banging theme song. If I were running that show, I would not want that episode to suck. And it didn't. The invisibility angle made for very chaotic scenes that were both physically visceral and threatening, putting the gang and Simple Plan into a more proactive position as the monster picks off Simple Plan one by one, which gave way to a great bit of characterization.
But that means I'm the only one left.
Well, have you ever thought about a solo career? Just asking.
Man, that's a stare of absolute contempt right there. And is a great visual cue of how important his bandmates are to him. Nevertheless, the Invisible Madman also utilizes a solid use of misdirection for all its suspects, leading to a classic everyone did it twist, where their stupid motive is revealed. They wanted to kidnap Simple Plan so they can replace them with their alternative band.
Hit it, guys!
That fat groove, Velma.
Oh, brother.
You run a town, you have a government contract, you're a famous fashion designer, and you're basically the manager of Simple Plan, and you threw that away to be a cruddy band? Sign me up!
Uh-oh.
The Fiend. This design just works. A take on the creature of the Black Lagoon lends itself to an imposing figure on look alone, and that's before you realize that the monster's main move is grabbing folks to drag under the ice and leave them as a frozen popsicle. And people wonder why I hate the ocean. Like, come on. Meanwhile, all Scooby wants to do is return a penguin back home. Dealing with being dragged underwater ain't fair. This penguin ain't cute enough to risk your life. He ain't Playboy. What makes the Fiend more deranged is that not only does the culprit forcibly drag people towards their icy graves, and it's just this guy. It's just a very violent MO for a guy who looks like this. But the fact that his motivation is to scare off everybody because he's so loyal to his boss, who wants to freeze himself intentionally in the Arctic water so he can travel through to the future through cryostasis. This person may be on par with that skateboarding psycho as being objectively stupid. Still, curiously attractive for a fish man.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo!
the coral creature. Firstly, this monster is dope. It's a real monster that already gives major points for me and NERO. But look at it too! Its intricate skeletal coral body mimicking that of an ocean floor. It ain't just a gorilla, an ugly dude, or a racist caricature. The coral creature is its own unique beast that feels lived in within the world, acting very animalistic, just attacking because of noise of the sand building contest and underwater construction. But the coral creature is a brilliant monster for what's new, especially as it's a complete red herring monster to the true villain, the government. Or just this government man brainwashing sandcastle builders to build an underwater highway. We could definitely use more cryptid-based monsters in Scooby-Doo. Have cryptids used by people to do their evil deeds just to create variety to the monster setups. Like, the Chupacabra would have been way cooler if it were a real Chupacabra. Or looked like a genuine Chupacabra. So that was 10 of our best What's New Scooby-Doo monsters. The show can have some quirks and irks, but personally the show still has a nostalgic enjoyment that makes me love these monsters and the show itself. But which ones were your faves? Leave your favorite monsters down below with the hashtag ToonGrin10 and tell us why your monster is the best for you. So with that said, NERO, you excited for next time? NERO?
Get ready for the views, YouTube. Next ToonGrin 10 is the worst What's New Scooby-Doo monsters. Tune in next time. Thanks for stopping by our ToonGrin 10. Feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all ToonGrin projects. You can follow us on our social media, join our Discord, and support us by tipping at our Patreon and making a purchase in our online shop. All links are in the description, and as always, be sure to tune in to ToonGrin.